All right, here we go. Let's take a look at it. Okay.
Hey everyone, and welcome back to another Warcraft video. So, if you've seen yesterday's video, then you know everything Blizzard has said about Shadowlands. I mean everything, including, well, just how vague a lot of it's actually been. So, what should we be wary of? Like, is Shadowlands actually going to right the wrongs of BFA? Is it worth being excited? What should you be excited about? What's interesting? Or should you be skeptical? Should you check out the HD6XXs on today's sponsor, Drop.com, formerly known as Mastrop? I mean, yeah, I did 2 years ago, and they've been my personal favorite headphones since then. I mean, damn, they've got a 4.8 star rating from almost 2,500 people and a whopping 83.6k units sold. That's pretty darn wild, and it's happened for good reason. These sound incredible. These are an update to the legendary HD650s, giving you that incredible sound, but for a price of $220, and you'll get 25 off with my link. Now, the audiophile reviews for these speak for themselves. These sound stunning for the price, punching far, far above their weight. Importantly, they're super comfortable, and they've got an open back design. Now, not only do I prefer the breathability for a long
these actually do look like good headphones
design, but it also grants them fantastic soundstage, making them an incredibly immersive gaming solution. And of course, that's not even touching in music, which they
he's going all in on this one, dude.
Killer for.
He's going all in on this
$25 off my link. A massive thank you to Drop.com for sponsoring our channel, supporting the team, and with that, let's get into the video. The lore has a lot of potential, more than most expansions, as for the first time in a very long time, we're breaking new ground. Shadowlands is not revisiting an old villain. It's breaking the cycle of Legion and old gods. It's finally taking us somewhere new. Even Warlords of Draenor, while it was a bit wacky, well, it took us back to somewhere that we'd sort of been to, and it was still pretty focused on the Legion. Shadowlands being 100% new, that is exciting and where it could take us. I mean, you all know, I've been talking about that cosmology chart for years. So, we're likely going to see more of a loon. We're going to see the Titans be expanded upon. We're going to see what's up with the Jailer and the Arbiter. These are characters who predate the Titans, so what are the implications of that? Who knows? Maybe we'll learn about Light Lords, Void Lords. I mean, just as BlizzCon, they even open up speculation on things like where the old gods go when they die. So yes, Shadowlands is going to expand the lore, and I am dead excited for that. As for the plot, well, you know what? Let's slip in a positive point before that. The world of Shadowlands looks incredible. The variety of the color palettes and the themes is
The world always looks incredible. Like, every fucking time Blizzard makes a new expansion or something like that, the world always looks really good. I mean, like, let's be real. Blizzard does a very good job with like making like good art. Okay, like Legion looked great, BFA looked great, all of the zones have always looked great. I mean, let's be real.
Pretty darn welcome change of pace. Now, sure, Maldraxxus and Ardenweald, yeah, they're like reminiscent of things we've seen before, but I think it's pretty darn clear that we're getting a new twist on both of those things, especially with Ardenweald. This is the first time that we've had, I'd say, a totally new, otherworldly locale. I mean, yeah, Outland did that, but I'd been there in Warcraft 3. Argus sort of did that, but it was a patch zone. This, though, this is a big, expansive new world with new themes. And that's not even covering Oribos, which is, I mean, conceptually, it just seems like an incredibly unique city. Certainly the most unique one we've seen yet. So, suffice to say, I can't wait to explore it. But it's not all positive, so, yeah, let's get into our first downer. While I am thrilled about the lore, I'm at best mixed about the story thus far. In Before the Storm, Sylvanas said she did not want to be War Chief, and she cursed Vol'jin for naming her. Well, Steve Denuzer went and said that being the War Chief was all her plan. That's just a retcon, and that's sloppy and constant recontextualizing.
So you have to understand, one thing you need to know about Sylvanas is that she is the smartest person on Azeroth. She knows everything. She never makes mistakes, and anything that doesn't go according to her plan was actually according to her master plan. That's and she can beat anybody in a 1v1. Yeah, she even tricked the writers.
It just makes the story frustrating. I mean, sure, you can change the context of the past plot lines, but you can't change the character motivations when those past plot lines were written. And man, those motivations, they're now just really sloppy. I mean, look, just have Sylvanas in her quest to master death, find out that the Machine of Death is broken, and then go to Bolvar. But just before she goes to Bolvar, have the Jailer reach out to her through her Valkyr, and maybe give her a vision, one that sets her off on the direction of the cinematic. I mean, A, that would just be a cool scene. B, B, it would be a way of getting the same plot, but retcon-free. Right now, it just seems as if the writers want to feel smart by pretending they set this all up years ago, even though the original source material doesn't really back it up that much.
Not
I'll
really.
say this, you know what, Chris Metzen, he was a cheesy dude, I'll say that much. But I don't think his lore had this specific problem. So look, I really...
Well, no, because it was really basic. Like, that's what was good about the WoW lore. Like, if you go back and you watch the vanilla WoW lore, it's actually really fucking simple. And they've tried to do, like, this Game of Thrones level bullshit on the lore with, like, making it this, like, very convoluted, complicated story, which is great if you can get it right. But it's like, Shadowlands, you know, like BFA, I think the story was like season 5 or season 6 of Game of Thrones. Shadowlands is seeming like it's season 8. And that's what I think people are concerned about.
Like the lore, I'm excited for it, but I don't have that much faith in their storytelling. I think that writing lore and actually telling a story are two different skill sets, and right now the people who are doing the lore are not really doing a great job of the story. I mean, hell, even the Helm of Domination and Frostmourn's Nathrezim connection has also just been retconned, which is a bit sad. So, basically, if we lop off Sylvanas' head in Gul'dan-like fashion and then move on to stories that aren't a total mess, I think things could be really good. And that does lead me on, oddly enough, to my next positive point. Okay, so while I'd rather have a Wrath-like expansive adventure, I would take the Warlords of Draenor linear but very well executed narrative over the more fragmented ones of Legion and BFA. And neither of those expansions could really tell a story across their zones. That was just impossible because the zones were designed to be completed in any order. That meant that BFA and Legion were essentially short story collections. You know, not a full novel, if you get what I mean. Well, Shadowlands is returning to a linear narrative progression, telling a story that will carry on through all of the zones. This is an extremely welcome change of pace, and it's one that will let the developers have longer character arcs and better pacing. Look, I love the lore, and I actually love many of the smaller zone stories, like Runas from Legion. It's just that, you know, the strange transmedia narrative sort of tie-in Sylvanas connective tissue that drives it all forward, I think risks torpedoing elements. But I think one of the antidotes to that is more of the story being in the game and having linear zones that just tell one big story.
Having the story in the game means a lot.
Well, I think it can actually achieve that goal far more than with Legion and BFA, and that's something I'm hyped about. Still, though, time to slip in a important sort of negative, and that's vagueness. I mean, it's good and bad. I mean, if anything, it just means that Blizzard are early on in development, and they don't want to publicly commit to things. That's sensible. Maybe it indicates a little bit more humility from them. I mean, they've often been fairly hubristic, especially with things like personal loot and the GCD change, so perhaps them not coming out swinging with complete confidence is kind of a good sign. Now, that said, it's also true that the expansion doesn't seem that far along, and we're probably not in for an August 2020 release date.
There's no
or at the
way.
very least, if that's going to happen,
like
then
November.
they're going to need to have a real speedy beta. Anyway, while Blizzard were light in the details here, I think there is one thing that they were very clear on, and it's our next positive. They were loud and clear on the topic of player agency. They were clear in their admonishment of the pruning. Hell, they were even pretty darn anti-RNG, or at the very least they were anti-insane RNG, with them clearly, you know, stating those things, and often to the cheers of the crowd, even saying that the weekly disappointment box wasn't their best idea, and at least emotionally...
The weekly disappointment box. Man. Did Blizzard think Bellular should just work at Blizzard? That's a really, really great way to say it. I like that a lot.
I can say that hearing all of that felt great. You know, I can deal with them being vague if I'm confident that they're moving forward in a better direction. So, are they? Well, there's a few snags that I'm going to cover here today, but in a lot of areas, yeah, I think they are moving in a better direction. Okay, time for a negative. One thing that they really could have thrown in the bin to the cheers of the crowd would have been the GCD changes of BFA. I think
they already basically have. That's the thing. It's like Blizzard already basically has gotten rid of like most of the GCD changes. Now, they haven't gotten rid of everything. Like, there's a few things, and I think that they're still really kind of sticking to their guns with, like, keeping the cooldowns on GCD. But for the most part, there's been a lot of other things that they've completely gotten rid of with the GCD. We need more people, by the way. If anybody wants to message me for an invite, please message me for an invite. And so that way I can do this. Thinking about the other day, whenever you got an experience lock at a party, he's going to try it with 5 level higher mobs. Yes, exactly. I'm going to do that. You should form a WoW community council. That's actually a really good idea. What the fuck? That's like the smartest thing I've heard in chat all day. That's a really good idea. What the fuck? Sounds like an echo chamber? Not really, because the people that are representing the community, by the nature of them being the chosen people, by representing the community, by having the highest amount of people that are listening to them and watching them, would imply that they have the most prevalent opinions upon the people that are consuming outside of game WoW content. Right? I mean, so that I feel like an echo chamber doesn't make any sense. Like, really, actually doesn't make any sense. Oh, I have the wrong helmet on.
These have been the worst single move made for modern WoW gameplay.
Yeah.
It made specs with multiple offensive cooldowns a real drag. Their macro-based justification was just a boogeyman, the killing of whom was not worth the slowdown of their specs and the homogenization of their pacings. So Blizzard not hearing any update in this was pretty disappointing, and I'd love it if you reconsidered it in the future. And speaking of the baggage of BFA, well, borrowed power is also a concern. While it seems like we're actually in for really solid class changes in the 1 through 50 range, we are seeing the 50 through 60 editions come in via an external system, Covenants and Soulbinds. Now, I'd worry that, you know, in constantly reiterating the same type of thing, they're kind of rarely progressing the game from a mechanical standpoint. There's also the problem of losing these abilities in 10.0. I mean, some of the new Covenant abilities may be baselined, others may be baked into talents, but, you know, like, having a thing that used to be baseline be a talent doesn't feel great as the BFA transition.
Because they're taking it away. That's why it doesn't feel great. Of course it doesn't feel fucking great. It feels like getting fucked in the ass. Like, it's not good. Like, I don't know. Like, all right. I'm guessing. Okay, I'm not like really.
So it's probably going to be fine during 9.0, but I think it's going to be tricky to deal with after that, especially since once Covenants go away, we're losing, what, 48 class abilities and 4 utility abilities? That's going to sting. And while we're on that topic, I've got another negative, conduits. Now, these are consumable items that you socket into your soulbinds, as I've covered in previous videos, and they've been described as being like the 7.3 relics. So yeah, you can't take one out of a soulbind and maybe move it into another soulbind. They are consumable. I think this is a massive mistake. This really is de-hyping me. I think it's going to punish build experimentation, and that's something that the range of soulbinds and their talent like switching, that's like supposed to aid that, so it seems odd that they're then punishing it. I think that, you know, they want these to add a lot of longevity to progression, but that they're doing that by arbitrarily punishing players. I think that's clearly a bad situation, especially if the conduits are powerful, and I would implore Blizzard to reconsider it. Next up, though, time for a positive, and that is Shadowlands' leveling changes. I think they are going to be incredibly healthy for the game. Leveling being a bit faster but of a higher quality will make for a far better new player experience. I mean, I've got newbie friends, okay, and they're playing the game right now, and it is a bit of a fragmented mess, especially when they don't know all of the lore. Now, balancing...
Start off, it's like, okay, you've got to go, and we just got our brand new War Chief Thrall, and, or not brand new War Chief Thrall. I guess some of the old zones might still have Thrall, like, according as the War Chief. We just got our brand new War Chief Garrosh. We're going to see how that guy does, and you get over to Ironforge, or sorry, Orgrimmar, and you go in there and the phasing set up, and then there's, oh, well, wait here for War Chief Vol'jin, and it's like, wait, what the fuck? Where's Vol'jin? And then there's this other girl that comes in here, and it's Sylvanas, and she's also the War Chief. How many War Chiefs do we have? What's going on here? Okay, well, oh my god, we have to go, Odin's on our side? I thought Odin was on our side. Well, then why am I killing him in the Black Temple? Wait, what's going on? I'm going over to Outlands? Like, none of it makes any fucking sense. Okay, none of it makes any fucking sense. Like, if it's a person that cares about lore in WoW, like, if you're a person that plays games for its lore and, like, the way it works in WoW, you are having a bad time. Let me just say that right now. By the way, we still do need more people. Message Rogue Boy, and for INV, for an invite, I need some 60s to help me test out the true limits of my leeching capabilities. So please go ahead and message me if you're bored.
One expansion for, you know, your whole 10 to 50 means that, like, the quality of the zones will shine, people will get a cohesive experience, and that's something that's sorely needed. Now, combining this with the high quality 1 through 10 starter zone, that's another brilliant move. And then combine that with pretty much getting a new thing every level because of the new class changes, and I think we'll be in a far better, more healthy spot for World of Warcraft. Of course, that's for new players, but there's good news for existing ones. Alts seem to be faring well. Like, you'll level them faster, you'll get more of them, but what really matters is the endgame experience. Now, each covenant is going to equate to more narrative content and more, like, cosmetic progression. Now, that's going to be pretty good. It'll get you back to the strengths of having alts and legions and going through the class orders. Now, the thing is that, unlike with Legion, Blizzard are pretty darn clear in their desire not to punish multiple characters. How? Well, I think the removal of artifact power is going to go a very long way to help that, especially with how they seem to be balancing anima and a few other things. But, well, let's hop on over to anima and AP. This is another great thing. Artifact power is gone, anima is in. Now, artifact power punished playing now through diminishing returns, while also making your past work negligible through catch-up. Yes, it worked on paper, but humans are not spreadsheets. Yeah. Anima is very different, with you only needing a small amount every week for your power progression, and the rest going towards cosmetic progression with your covenant. Now,
that's fine. That's totally fucking fine. I have no issue with there being like anima and like it being cosmetic stupid shit, right? It's like, oh wow, I farmed 6 hours today. I got this stupid pet. Like, who gives a fuck, right? But the power progression, I think, is like, so imagine it like this. So for out of like every 10 players, I'd say like 8 of them are motivated by power progression, or 9 of them are motivated by power progression. And then 1 of them out of the 10 is motivated by cosmetic progression. Player power progression is the strongest motivating force in the game. And cosmetics are not that important. And if they can just give us a Valor cap back, I would be so happy. That's all I've wanted for so long. I just want a Valor cap.
Oh, sure, I get that people are talking about the idea of weekly chores, but being real, the Valor Point system, like the cap for Mists of Pandaria, that was far less alt-unfriendly than Legion or BFA ever were. Yep. Blizzard should also look to solutions of the past, I think, and consider adding in a VP boost for alts once your main is capped, and also maybe adding some of the reputation commendations for alts. Again, those are Mists of Pandaria solutions that would have been very welcome in BFA, I know that much, and I think they'd still be welcome in the next expansion. And on the topic of progression, let's actually just talk about the soul mines, because I think this could be a positive. Okay. Now, I think they could be a really good progression system, though as I did say, I'm worried about the conduits killing them. But still, I'll say this, having a selection of endgame talent trees to advance through and swap between, depending on your scenario, well, I think that actually sounds quite good. I think there's more player agency in that than there was with Azerite Armor. Now, of course, it's all going to rely on implementation, but I think it could actually be quite good. I mean, if they could have multiple trees that matter that I want to swap between with different builds, it would probably be better than even, say, the artifact weapons single fixed tree.
Artifact weapons would have been fucking great if you weren't able to pick everything on the tree. Like, and you were just able to respec them regularly. That would have been fucking awesome. But instead, they had to make it to where you just get every single one, and then it's boring. Like, they literally could have just made the artifact weapons a new system that would be exactly the fucking same as the old system that we used to have. I don't know what the hell they were thinking. Like, it doesn't make any fucking sense that they did that. Like, I'm kind of annoyed by that, honestly, because I thought it was such a good idea. Like, they could have used the artifact weapons to just reintroduce the old talent system into the game. It would have been fucking amazing.
And still on player agency related positives, we've got legendaries, which seem to be in a pretty darn good spot, though again, much of that rides on the implementation. Fundamentally though, having them be from a fixed source, being able to choose their slot, and directly modify their effects, that sounds fantastic. I mean, if we could get the benefits of Legion legendaries, but skip all the downsides, that would be an incredible gameplay system. Yeah. Now, that said, rune acquisition, that needs to be well considered, because if the runes are super random, then yeah, we could get right back to the Legion acquisition like situation, which wouldn't be ideal. But I'll say this, fundamentally, I am hyped for the new legendaries. Of course, gameplay customization is not all that matters in an MMORPG. The RPG really is important. Having more default customization options for our characters, that's fantastic indeed.
I really thought it was funny whenever Blizzard added black characters to the game and people got mad about it. There was like people in my chat, they're like, oh fucking SJW, there's gonna be black people in my game now, no! And they're like so mad, I can't believe they caved to this pressure. I thought they didn't care about making political messages, what the hell? And like, I guess it's like, I can understand how... Actually, no, I can't understand that. It's just fucking stupid. I really can't understand that. Like, yeah, of course, there's some things like games use the fucking game as a political platform. That's stupid. Nobody likes that. But holy shit. Holy shit, guys. Like, give it a rest. By the way, we're still looking for more people. Message me, INV, if you're 60, and we can summon over here.
With the Gilneans being British and the Stormwind humans being American, I've got to wonder, will they use like the new human customization options
what happened
as
to
kind of like a
Gilneans, boys.
basis to build out some new cultures for like, you know, humans in the future? I think if they did that, it would be pretty cool. It could take us to some new places with new looks. Past that though, the other options are great, and from what we understand, there's more to come. That's all really good stuff. The Covenants also seem to have great unlockables as well. You've got your custom cloaks, you've got your mounts, you've got tints for both and the leveling up of them. It sounds really good. I mean, if Blizz can recapture the Legion artifact skin hunting gameplay and you know, maybe expand upon it, then that could be really strong. I mean, hell, I know this much. It'll be better than what BFA had in that regard, which, I mean, really is not that much. But that
what do you
said,
mean, bro? Like, what about Azerite weapons? What about that necklace you couldn't even have it, you couldn't click on or do anything with? Bro, like, what do you mean? Dude, BFA was lit. What do you mean? Dude, BFA was fucking lit, man. Like, what do you mean? I could get my Azerite power, and then I could get my blue item and get all my Azerite traits, and I get my epic item, and then I have to get my same Azerite traits and my epic item because of an arbitrary number requirement. Like, dude, that was fucking, whew, man, like, that was exciting, man. It was litty. Yeah, message me, Rouge Boy, sorry, Rogue Boy. Message Rogue Boy for an invite, INV.
we still don't have tier sets. That's another negative. Both in terms
Straight
of
up,
gameplay
dude.
and aesthetic customization, this does make me a bit sad. Blizzard just have to face it. Their BFA armor type direction just didn't work out that well.
No.
Gear looks boring, and characters look less distinct than ever. Okay, time for our second mixed point.
Okay.
It's Titan Forging. So, based on Preach's post-con stream,
Here we go.
Titan Forging is gone, and
Here we go.
Blizzard's internal justification is that it was too hard to balance the power inflation. We covered that in yesterday's video. Now, sure, I agree.
Really, Blizzard? Really? Really? Did anybody... I wish somebody could have predicted that. I just wish somebody could have said that in the beta. Like, it's so disappointing that nobody said that. And like, Blizzard had to figure this out all on their own. And it took them 4 years to figure out.
Agree with Blizz, but if that means that they don't understand the fundamental disappointment loop that system created,
They do.
then I'm a little bit worried.
I think they
But still,
understand it.
No Titan Forging in that sense is a good thing. Blizzard did, though, say that there would be something, and it seems like Corrupted Gear is a massive test of that. So overall, look, I'm just a bit worried that while one problem may be diminished, they are just going to bolt another, like, thing onto Gear, and that it will backfire. And I know that's a pessimistic, dim sort of view of things, but it's what the past has taught me here. I mean, that power inflation thing that Blizzard talked about, or well, that Mike sort of indicated Blizzard talked about, we've been complaining that since 5.2's Titan Forging. It took them 7 years to see the obvious there, and that's just a little bit worrying to me. And hey, while we're feeling sad, let's do another potential downside, and that is the coupling of gameplay mechanics with player expression. It's very possible that the playstyle of Covenant A will be your favorite, but the Covenant B will be your, you know, ideal pick, aesthetically and thematically.
I think that you should be able to, if you get your full armor set from one Covenant and then you switch to another Covenant, you should be able to keep your armor set. Because I want all of them. Well, I really only want 2 of them, but I think that's what would make sense. And, well, no, why? Why is it a no? Why is that a no? It doesn't make any sense. But what do you mean it doesn't make any sense? All right, think about it like this. You're part of a sports team. Make it 4 characters. Okay, that's fine. If you have to do it on a separate character, that's fine. But as long as you can transmog it and you can hold on to that armor and use it if you're another Covenant, I think that'd be cool. Because I don't know, I want to be able to have all the sets, but I don't want to have to choose. Decision matters? Nah, maybe it does. To me personally, I'd like to be able to have all the sets though, because I think it would create more content that way. Because people would they'd want one set and then I'd want the other set, so they'd go switch over. And I think it would create more content that way and be overall better. And I think also if people are locked to the sets, it's going to be more of just a negative rather than a positive. You know, like imagine like your set's that fucking purple thing or something like that, but you want to be the red boy. Now you're pissed. But at least if you have a way to go back and forth, you'd have an option to get something that you wanted.
Now, this just seems like an annoying problem for regular players. Now, there are balance issues that'll impact the top end here, but my whole point here is to not focus on the top end. My point here is that this is a large potential problem for the average player of the game, not just for the Mythic Raiders. So I'd say this, have the Covenant, like, unique passive ability, sure, but just let people choose their new class ability at the Arbiter. I mean, surely they can make the lore work there for maybe the soul points and the abilities to give players more expression and choice there.
So what Bellular is suggesting is something that would be good for gameplay, but would it be good for the game? That's what I don't know. Is because like I have no idea. It depends on like how much they muddy the waters between the different covenants, and I think that depends.
You know, sometimes I think Blizzard misunderstand their gameplay first value, like with how the garrisons had nearly zero room for player expression, and that was all in the name of the garrisons being highly gameplay focused. And all that did was ruin the potential for garrisons to fulfill their fantasy, while also needlessly limiting the gameplay of them. You see, in an MMO RPG, player expression through customization and the expression of their own fantasy, that is gameplay, even though it doesn't have gameplay mechanics. So I'd say this, and really with the intention of Blizzard hearing it, decoupling needed gameplay, mechanics gameplay, from customization, I think that is the gameplay first approach. Locking them together, I don't think it is. So there you go, that's my big grab bag of things that I'm excited about for this expansion, things that I'm a bit less excited about. But I think the main thing here is that it's really early, and the reason why I'm so comfortable to be like pretty critical about elements of this expansion is because I looked at BlizzCon and I just thought, well, this seems really vague. I listened to Preach sort of talk in between the lines, you know, not naming names in his stream, and again, with that, it was pretty clear they're really early in this, and that actually does...
Good, I want to shit on this expansion so hard that Blizzard feels it. And what I mean by that is I want them to know exactly what they're doing wrong. Because if they know exactly what they're doing wrong, they'll be able to fix it. And I am willing to make a video on my main channel about this expansion. That's how important it is. When was the last time I made a video on my main channel? Like, let me go ahead and see. Asmongold. Let's see, main channel. Let's see if I can find it. Where is it? There it is. Let's look. All right. State of BFA. When did this come out? When did this come out? Literally 1 year ago. 1 year ago, October 14th, 2018. So this is before BlizzCon or last year or anything. And look at that fucking beard. And the entire time in this video, all I was doing was fucking farming frogs in Timeless Isle. And it has 1 million views. Imagine getting 1 million views farming frogs in Timeless Isle. What a life. What a fucking life. Alright, let me go back. I'll take a look at the rest of the video. It might be time to make another video.
Does mean that it's a great opportunity for us that we found out about the expansion a bit earlier in its development than normal. It means we really can give Blizzard good feedback, and you know, I think after the missteps of the last while, I just have a feeling Blizzard will be a little bit more open to hearing, hearing feedback, of course, as long as it's mostly constructive. And I think that's part of the reason why I'm decently excited for this expansion. I mean, a part of my, like, immediate emotional, like, hype excitement, that was a little bit killed because I think Sylvanas is getting really boring, but when I actually sit down and think about this expansion, I think about the new zones and all of that stuff, I mean, yeah, I'm excited. This is a really cool world. The lore they could cover is really cool. You know, them talking about, like, their class direction stuff. I mean, I didn't cover that as much in this video, but, cool. You know, getting baseline class abilities back, that's really cool. Having more, you know, introspec abilities, that's really cool. Them being pretty down on aspects of their, like, the RNG, that's also really good to hear. There's so many things that, you know, they said that, I mean, that we've been saying for a long time, and they seem to finally agree here. I mean, bar the GCD. Come on, guys, fix that GCD. So, yeah, I mean, there's definitely a few negatives here, but I also think there's a lot of positives, and I think a lot of those positives...
Do you guys think that there's any validity in the idea that the GCD would be okay if it was only applied to major cooldowns? Like, you know, Battlecry, Dark Soul, etc., right? Is there any validity in that? No, so you guys just want it taken off entirely. Why, though? It's so stupid. To space out burst damage. That's why. Better, but not good. I would compromise with Blizzard if only large cooldowns were on the GCD. Because I've actually heard, I talked with SSDS a little bit about this, and, you know, we had a conversation about it, and in a way, it does kind of slow down the game. But I don't know if that's, like, a good thing or not. Like, I don't know. It's I'm so conflicted about it. I would be okay if they did that, but in Legion, like, your character feel, and this is another issue, right? Is that this is like, this is about PvP, and the GCD changes affect the entire game. So, in my opinion, I think they should focus on making the entire game good rather than just PvP good. And PvP was acceptable with the GCD changes or without them, and I think now the entire game is less fun to play. So, in general, I would consider it an overall loss.
Have been a little bit missed out, and I think a part of that's because, I mean, it's been a rough time for Blizzard. They've lost a lot of PR,
yes.
And I think that means that people are going to be more harsh on Blizzard in general because of all of that stuff.
Yeah.
I suppose what I would say is there's a lot of criticism to level at the executives, yes. But talking about the design of their games and the developers who are actually making those games, I mean, a lot of those criticisms don't really apply to those devs. And I think it's unfair to tarnish the work of those developers because of the wider, maybe bad decisions that Blizzard, the big corporate entity, is actually making.
I think that's true.
Yeah, that's basically where I am with Shadowlands. I think there's
harassing
a lot
devs
of
over
stuff
Hong
to be
Kong is
excited
stupid.
about. A few little worrying bits that, suffice to say, I will be on like a hawk as soon as Alpha and Beta actually kick off. Let me know what you think.
See, Bellular is probably realizing the same shit that I am, is that the game's not getting better. It will get like, it's like one step forward, two steps back. It's like, oh man, they got rid of legendaries, but they added Azeroth armor and island expeditions. And I worry that's what's going to happen. Could you please do a GCD straw poll? Curious to hear what people think. I don't know. I feel like opinions on issues like that are too nuanced for a poll to matter.
About all this stuff down below. A massive thank you to drop.com for sponsoring this video. I mean, hell, we've got a new video editor on, and through the patrons and the sponsors, it's been like, that's what's allowed that stuff to be possible. And trust me, we've got big, exciting plans for all of that. So thank you very much, and I will see you next time.